Okay, so let's go point by point. The first point, let's read it carefully. To cut greenhouse gas emissions intensity of its GDP by 33 to 35% by 2030 with respect to the year 2005. Quite technical, right? So what we are saying is, we are saying that we will not just reduce the greenhouse gas emission, but the emission intensity. What is the meaning of emission intensity? So let me just use an additional slide to explain this. So when you say emission intensity, when you say emission intensity, what it means is emission intensity of GDP. Correct? That's what it says. Emission intensity of GDP. Emission intensity of GDP means what? This is equal to GDP divided by total CO2 equivalent. We add equivalent because it is not just CO2, it is methane and some of the other gases also that are produced. Total CO2 equivalent emitted. This is the first point. I hope this is a simple formula that's clear. Emission intensity of GDP means for 1 unit of GDP, how much CO2 is emitted. Okay, that is what it means. For 1 unit of GDP. Suppose I just, out of curiosity, I looked at what was India's GDP in 2020. So India's GDP in 2020 was something like 2 lakh crores, 2.2 lakh crores. That's the result I got. I'm not really cross-checked it, but 2.2 lakh crores. So for that 2.2 lakh crores, let us say there were some X tons of CO2 that is emitted. What we are trying to reduce is, for per unit of GDP, we will reduce the CO2 emission. Okay. So this is the first point that you need to remember. Emission intensity. So what we will do, we will reduce it by how much? 33 to 35%. Means if earlier it was 100, earlier. Yeah. Now it will be anywhere between 67 to 65%. Not of 2020, not of 2022, but of 2005, which is the base year. We all understand the concept of base year in economics also. No? Whenever you have a wholesale price or index or a consumer price index, you have it, or even inflation for that matter, you have a base year with which you measure the price rise. So similarly, the base year here is 2005. Now, my first question to you is, when a GDP, when you have to have a GDP is what? In a very crude way, I can say it is the sum of monetary values of all finished goods, all goods and services of a country. Forget the plus and minus that happens because of GDP, CNP and all that. But at a high level, in the numerator, what you have is the sum of value of finished goods. Let me say it that way. Yeah. Now, where do these goods come from? They come from agriculture, industry, services. Am I right? They come from agriculture, industry, services. Let me take just one sector here, because this emission intensity is easier to explain with that sector. Let me take industry as a sector. Industry contributes to GDP. Yeah, we all know that. And services is the biggest contributor to GDP. Let us take industry. Okay. Let's say industry, steel is a finished good. Steel is a finished good. And the value of steel produced will eventually get added to the GDP. Steel is a finished good. Let's say for 1 ton of steel, let's say 1 ton of CO2 was being produced. 1 ton for the production of steel, 1 ton of CO2 was being produced. Why? Because coal was burned. Coal was burned somewhere and the electricity from coal was used. Now, what does it mean when I will reduce the emission intensity? It means for the same 1 ton of steel, I am going to use 600 and how much is that? 665, let's say. 665 kgs of CO2 will be produced. So what has happened? The emission intensity has come down by 33 to 35%. You may say, sir, but how is that possible? It is possible. How is it possible? Let's look into it. For example, I will make the steel process more efficient. Means, for example, I'm just getting into a little more detail. Let's say steel is a furnace. Yeah, furnace. You let's say you input electricity, and the electricity is able to melt the steel. What I'm doing is I'm going to have a super efficient furnace. So to melt 1 ton of steel, I will put less amount of electricity. So what am I doing? I'm doing efficiently. Second, electricity I was typically buying from coal, but now what I'll do is I'll buy some from coal and some from solar. So what has happened the moment I purchased it from solar? The emission, because solar is zero CO2. Therefore, the combination of coal and solar, what will it make? It will make the emission intensity come down. Is this clear to you guys? Broadly, is this clear to you? When I say emission intensity of GDP will get reduced, this is how it happens at the ground zero level. So every industry has to do something like this. Okay. So we have taken one example of a sector of steel. Let's take one example of good. So Navina says yes. So she has understood. If anyone has any point, let me know. I'll explain. I'll give one more example, and then I'll say how one example I've given for industry. One example I will give. I'll give from the transportation sector. Okay, which will make the whole process hopefully much easier. So one second. Yeah. So. Yeah, sorry. So now transportation will come under what sector? It is not agriculture. Is it industry? It's not industry. It actually comes in the services sector. Let me say transportation. Okay. Let's say that in a city there were 1 million cars. Okay. Let's say 1 million diesel cars. Now what has happened due to some government regulation or something over a period of time, 20% or let's say 35%, let me put 35%, of these cars has been replaced by electric vehicles. Now what is happening to the emission intensity? Emission intensity is coming down. Why? Because transportation as the sector, for example, this was used for transportation of anything. Yeah, transportation as a sector does add up, add its value to the GDP. By replacing the fleet of diesel cars with electric vehicle, what have you done? You have not impacted the GDP, but you have impacted the denominator, which was the CO2 that is being emitted. Okay, so much goes into understanding the first point of what India has committed under Paris Agreement to cut greenhouse gas intensity. So the keyword here is intensity. Okay, so this is the first point. Second, increase non-fossil fuel energy contribution to 40%. Non-fossil fuel energy contribution to 40%. Now, if you look at it in India, there is one slide which specifically talks about new emission norms from power plant, where I discussed that in detail. But even otherwise, if you take, let's say, the total electricity, let's say this is the total electricity consumed in India in 1 year. This is a pie chart. Out of this, around 70% of the electricity is produced by coal. 70% is by coal. Okay. And an additional 10% is by gas, diesel, lignite is taken separately, and lignite. So this adds up to 80%. Which means currently in our fuel mix, only 20% is non-fossil fuel. Only 20% is non-fossil fuel. Now, what does that non-fossil fuel include? It includes solar, it includes wind, it includes hydro. It also includes nuclear, because nuclear technically is non-fossil fuel, right? Because it's produced in lab. So fourth is nuclear. Fifth could be something like biomass and a lot of other relatively smaller things, biomass, geothermal energy and all. But solar, wind, hydro, nuclear, these are the top 5. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to improve the contribution to the India's electricity of non-fossil fuel sources from 20% to 40%. That's a jump of a factor of 2. Okay, so that's your second part, increase in the fossil fuel contribution to 40%. Third is to create an additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of CO2 equivalent through additional forest and tree cover by 2030. Now, typically, if you look at, if you take all the 3 points together, I will. So if you have noted this, I'm just erasing it now. Yeah. So what it says is 2.5 to 3 billion tons of CO2 equivalent. Okay. So whenever you have let's divide it into 2 parts. You have carbon source, and then you have carbon sink. Carbon source is what? Carbon source is burning of fossil fuels. So this can come from industries. Definitely it can come. It can come from households, that is domestic, switching of air conditioners and all domestic. It can come from transportation sector. It can come from transportation sector. Now, what is a carbon sink? Carbon sink, the major carbon sink is going to be forest. Major carbon sink, because in forest we have what is called as, you can remember this term, natural carbon capture and sequestration. So new term I'm introducing. I'm sure many of you have heard it. Carbon capture and sequestration. Forest. In the last class, I think many of you rightly answered that forest does have carbon. So it captures carbon dioxide and makes it as part of its biomass itself. Okay. So that is carbon sink.